Do you like Supernatural? You probably do if you're here and watching this video and subscribe to my channel. So why don't you sit back and let me talk about what I consider to be the best of the Eric Kripke era of Supernatural, otherwise known as the Golden Age of Supernatural. If you want to hear me talk way more in depth about this entire era, I have a retrospective episode here, and I'll be talking about the other eras in a top 10 episode format as well. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about number 10. Oh, and stay tuned to the end of the video for a special announcement regarding a big channel-wide event. Season 1, Episode 12, Faith, is the first episode of the show to tackle something that will inevitably be tackled many more times after this, the mortality of Sam and Dean Winchester. On a routine hunt, Dean is hurt very badly after being electrocuted and he doesn't have much time left, and I think this is a great episode because you can actually see how much Sam cares for Dean. Dean's ready to give up, but Sam won't let him, and I just love seeing how far the brothers go for each other. It's early in the show, so it's not as played out as it inevitably becomes, and the introduction to the Reaper as a villain is one of the absolute best monster introductions in the entire show and one of the coolest villain introductions in any TV show. I also love the fact that Sam and Dean have to grapple with the fact that they're letting sick, hopeless people die because it's not right about what's going on. It's a very great early episode of the show and one of the most outstanding, influential, and memorable episodes. That's why I have it here at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Abandon All Hope, Season 5, Episode 10. This is probably the most accurate title in the show because this episode is extremely hopeless. The mid-season finale of Season 5 sees our characters go on a mission to take down the devil using the cult. They band together with Ellen and Joe and face off against Lucifer, and it goes about as horribly as you'd expect. I love this episode because it feels like a big heist episode as they sneak into a town to stop Lucifer from releasing death. The climax is so good as Ellen and Joe end up dying because, I mean, they think this is the mission that's going to save the world, only for it to be utterly useless. The cult is useless on Lucifer, he releases death, and he just ends up getting away, leaving Sam, Dean, Bobby, and Castiel with nothing to show for the mission except 2 dead friends and a freed horseman. It's a true final season feeling episode, which is why it's a bit disappointing since the show goes on for 10 more seasons, but it's one of the best episodes of the show and it leaves me with a hollow feeling every time I watch it. It just does so much for the season at this point because season 5 does lag a little before this episode, so this episode kicks everything into gear for a tremendous second half. But yeah, that's why Abandon All Hope is my number 9 spot on this list. It's crazy to think that one of the best finales of the show was made because of the writer's strike, but No Rest for the Wicked, Season 3, Episode 16 is one of my favorite episodes of the show. Originally, Sam was going to save Dean by the end of the season, but due to having the season cut short, they decided to go in another direction, and I think it was a great direction because it makes the end of Season 3 and the beginning of Season 4 some of the best parts of the entire show. The entire buildup of this episode is great. Seeing Dean come to terms with the fact that he's probably going to die is really awesome. I love seeing him see, demons' faces for what they are. The whole team just coming into Lilith's campsite in a suburban neighborhood was really cool to watch. And I think the ending as he's having his guts ripped out by hellhounds is still one of the most raw and heart-wrenching moments of the entire show. And I love how this episode's climax sets up Sam's powers even more. Killing Dean could have felt like a cheap repeat of Season 2's finale, but instead it feels really big and powerful, and it feels like the ballsy move that it was. I really don't think the show would have been as good as it is in the next couple seasons if they haven't gone through with killing Dean, because it adds a ton of weight to the show by introducing him in hell and everything. And then Season 4 and 5 are some of the best of the entire show, and they follow up directly because of the choice to put Dean here. There are a lot of really good Monster of the Week episodes, and there's going to be a lot of them on here, quite frankly, because there's just so many good ones in Season 1 through 5. But Heart, Season 2, Episode 17 is one of the best episodes of the show. One of the best ones from Season 2. It's just so good. The mystery building up to a werewolf is amazing, and I love the reveal of who the werewolf is, with it being Madison. Getting Sam so close with Madison only to have her werewolf out was so good. It's the first time Sam is able to let his guard down and let someone else in since he lost Jessica, and we get the heartbreaking ending where he has to kill her and the music just stops, and it's just one of my favorite scenes in the entire show. Just an altogether amazing episode. I just really love how it builds up to where it does, and you really truly believe Sam and Madison's relationship. Yeah, a total banger of an episode. If you don't remember this episode really well, please go give it a watch because it's truly incredible. It's just only this low because pretty much everything else is like a 10 out of 10 for me. This is like the last 9 out of 10 that we're going to see on this list. Season 2 wastes absolutely no time picking up right where Season 1 left off with In My Time of Dying, Season 2, Episode 1. We get Azazel back. John and him make a deal to save Dean. He gets, the cult and everything. Dean's wandering around in the Vale talking to Reapers. There's some amazing character moments between all the characters. I love the expansion of Reaper lore and just the expansion of seeing what actually happens to people when they die and before they move on. Seeing how they become vengeful ghosts is really, really cool. It's actually the first episode of the show that made me cry, and I really do love it as a premiere. It sets everything up for Season 2 as a season opener, and I really love it. Season 4, Episode 13, After School Special. Probably my favorite Monster of the Week episode of the entire show. I love this episode for numerous reasons. My number one reason being that it just shows us a history of the brothers that we hadn't really seen up until this point. Flashback episodes of them as kids will be used way too often in the later seasons, but it was still a new and fresh idea here, and seeing them in high school was such a really cool idea. I love seeing Sam have a teacher that he's really close with, encouraged him to get out of life, and I love how sad Dean's life was. He played the cool guy, but only because he knew that he'd be bouncing to the next town within a few weeks. Sam's friend Barry had such a tragic ending, and the ghost being the former bully was also just such a nice touch. It's such an intimate, sweet, and heartbreaking episode, and it's one that I love to revisit over and over and over. It's also got some amazing music in it too. But I'm just a huge fan of this episode and what it does for the characters. Supernatural does a lot of parody, and changing channels. Season 5 episode 8 is just another one of those instances. It's one of the craziest and most insane episodes of the entire show, and honestly, it's one of the best for that reason alone. The retcon that the trickster is actually Gabriel is such a great idea, and I just love how this episode ends up fitting into the main storyline. All the TV parodies are so good. I'm actually a big fan of Dr. Sexy, but I also like Sam having genital herpes, and then the sitcom intro is just so good. It's a fun ass episode that flips around just puts the show's mythology on its head by introducing Gabriel, the final archangel, into the mix. I don't need Supernatural to be an extremely meta show all the time, but some of the best episodes are the ones like this, and I think this is widely agreed upon to be one of the greatest episodes of the entire show. I mean, it's from Season 5, so you already know that's where the bulk of this list comes from. Lazarus Rising Season 4 Episode 1 is just one of those episodes. It's not only my favorite premiere of the show, but one of my favorite premieres of probably any show. It wastes no time telling you just how different Season 4 is going to be than Season 3. Dean immediately rises from the dead and is chased by this disembodied ringing that we now know as Castiel's voice. I think it's really cool how they slow build up to Castiel's first appearance with him first blinding this psychic woman, and I adore that we learn that something just isn't right about all this. There's a clear shift in direction of the series with the introduction of angels and Sam's powers growing, and it's so subtle, but you can definitely tell that the show will never be the simple ghost and monster hunting show that it once was in the first 3 seasons. This episode actually fights with my number one on multiple occasions. Dark Side of the Moon Season 5 Episode 16 is a truly standout episode and one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. I love it enough to have another video planned specifically for it. It's just a deep dive into Sam and Dean as characters, and it changes their relationship so drastically that Dean is now ready to say yes to Michael by the end of it. The final shot of him dropping the Samulet into the trash is so compelling, and I just love it so much. I love that every happy memory Dean has is with Sam, but all of Sam's best memories are without Dean. It really shows what their priorities lie, and I love it. One of the best things about early Supernatural was that how it wasn't afraid to break your heart. It wasn't afraid to just dive right in and do things that would shatter the viewer, and I feel like this episode does that so well. We even get setups that would be followed up on in Season 12. Multiple scenes with Dean and his mother in the episode really do hint at what's to come, or at least what Andrew Dabb considered that the dynamic between Dean and Mary should be. The episode also just features some terrific visuals, and the concept of the boys in heaven is such a great high concept idea. And then there's the reveal that God is just done and doesn't want to help Sam and Dean stop the apocalypse. Now, why don't we talk about my number one pick? Come on. Did you actually expect anything different? This is the single best episode of the show and my favorite episode of TV. This is the true ending of Supernatural for me and is arguably the best ending the show could ever have. Everything is full circle. Sam, a character who has always had his life chosen for him, finally reclaims his agency and is allowed to make a choice to make up for his mistake in starting the apocalypse. Dean, who's always controlled his brother and has forced him into situations, is now forced to let his brother do this act that he can't come back from. Every character is in their final form, and it's a tragedy that the show doesn't end here, honestly. The episode is just so damn good, and when you actually look at it, not a lot happens in it. It's not a very climactic episode, but it just has a lot of really great moments within it. The climax of the entire episode is so good. It's a microism of the entire arc of Sam 2, as he's able to one last time grab control of his life and do what needs to be done. And Dean's exclamation that he won't leave Sam alone in these final moments is so good. This episode is everything Supernatural's ever needed to be, and it'll always go down, at least I think, as the single best episode of the show. So those are my top 10 episodes of the Kripke era. What are yours? Go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. Now, to talk about the big channel announcement, I have a new channel membership. It's called JayTheZoomster Plus. You get videos a week early. You also get access to a private Discord server channel where we're going to be starting a Supernatural rewatch. We're going to be starting from season 1 and we'll go all the way to season 15, and you'll be able to talk about the season with me. We'll watch the season premieres and finales together. I think it's going to be very, very fun. So go ahead and join the channel membership. Once I get a couple people in there, then I can officially start to plan when this is going to start. But if we can get everything together, I want to start it as early as December. So if it's something you're interested in, please check it out. It is only $4.99 a month. I'll definitely do something big for people who can't, become members. And if you don't feel like you want to become a member, please don't feel like you have to. You just watching the video does so much for me already. And you just made YouTube a dream come true, because I'm actually able to make money off of the hard work that I put into these videos. Thank you so much. I love you all, and I'll see you in my next video.